You know what, Sam? I had paused the recording. Can you start again?
My screen says recording.
Now we're recording.
Hello, everyone. We are now recording the session. I am Samantha Williams, and I am the entrepreneur in residence, the EIR, at the New Haven Free Public Library. As the EIR, I host bi-weekly, twice a week business consultations for aspiring and current entrepreneurs and small business owners for advice, for guidance, to just vent and talk. I'm here for you. So check out the library's website and get on my calendar Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 4. I also host weekly presentations like we are here today for the entrepreneurial and small business community so that other people can come and share gems and nuggets of wisdom to help you along your journey. So today we have Dr. Davia Shepherd. She is the CFO of Ladies Power Lunch. And we are so happy to have her here because some of you have probably been a little burnt out. I felt very burnt out yesterday afternoon, Davia. I needed you. So this is very timely, and we are here, and I'm going to hand it over to you for your presentation. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much, guys, for having me here today. I'm talking about something that's really near and dear to my heart, and I hope that, you know, there'll be some resonance with everybody in the group. I am gonna invite you that if you feel, I invite you that this be a conversation as opposed to me just talking at you. I'm not good at that. I'm really good, however, with conversation, true story. So if anything speaks to you, just feel free to pop it in the chat, or if you want to just shout out or whatever, it's fine. No problems with that. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
All right, excellent. So I'm talking about going from burnout to brilliance. And just curious, anybody in the group today, anybody feeling stressed at all? Anybody? Nobody, right? Everybody's like not at all stressed. Because there's absolutely nothing to be stressed about. I mean, there's nothing going on in the news that could possibly stress us out at all. Nothing going on in life. I personally have found the last 3 months to be, 4 months maybe, to be a little bit challenging. I don't know if any of you noticed that or even remember, because it's like every day there's something new, but anybody remember the murder hornets?
Yes. Yes. And haven't they not come yet? Aren't they like still on their way up or something?
There were murder hornets. There were all these weather anomalies. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to all of that
That's so
stuff.
funny. So stay tuned to Sam's Words Friday post on social media. We have a joke about the murder hornets on Friday coming.
Oh, that's going to be hilarious. I'm looking forward to hearing about them because we haven't spoken about murder hornets in a while. Like, they're not getting their shine at all. There have been these weather anomalies. I don't know if you guys have seen about the sand cloud that's coming from the Sudan, I think it is.
Yeah.
Then, of course, there's COVID-19. Anybody heard about that?
I think I had it.
Maybe just a little bit.
In February, I swear. And I took the antibodies test to see if I had it, and they never got my results back to me. And I called them like twice, and so I swear I had it right before even people knew what it was. And it was
I know
definitely
several people like that.
Yeah,
right,
it was definitely here.
Beginning from like November to February. There's people like that.
Yeah. In November, December, January, what was happening was we were seeing a lot of patients who were coming in and they had been diagnosed with pneumonia. And it was a weird pneumonia, like symptoms that were unusual. But at that time, we didn't have any testing for COVID. So I feel like a lot of people earlier in the game got misdiagnosed. So
when I went to the doctor, they said you don't have the flu, you don't have pneumonia, you don't have like bronchitis. We don't know what you have, but here's
Like,
3 antibiotics, and hopefully one of these antibiotics will work. And
Good luck.
I mean, it did eventually, you know. Eventually, I got over it.
That's so scary too, because imagine how many people, like these patients are coming into your practice. Colleen, you're going to.
I'm at the library. Yeah.
You're at the library. Imagine how many. Oh, I remember when you were sick. Imagine how many people were exposed. Like,
yeah. It's good. I feel like it's good that we know now. I don't know how many people, I know, Sammy, you are in this boat. How many people are stressed with homeschooling?
Oh, God. I can't imagine.
Stressed from working at home. And then, of course, there's all this social unrest. There's social distancing. There's having to wear a mask. There are all the people who don't want to wear a mask. So if what I'm saying is, I'm not trying to dredge up bad memories for you guys, but
did you hear that the bubonic plague is supposed to come back now?
Oh gosh. Well, you know, it's not like we don't have enough things to take care of right now. But my point in bringing all of this stuff up is to say that if you're feeling a little bit drained and if you're feeling a little bit burnt out.
Okay, it's already 10:17. I don't want the coin should come in 11:15. You're not even ready to even eat.
Hello, Candida. Can you mute your sound?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's totally fine. It's hard to figure out what's muted and what's not.
Oh, no, I thought she was talking to me. I'm sorry.
No, I know. Yeah, I noticed that there was like a little, yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is if you are feeling drained, if you're feeling burnt out, you're not alone and you have reason to feel that way. So I just want to acknowledge that at the top to say that, you know, this all is unusual.
You know, it hits you, I think, in waves. And I think, like, it's funny because something was in the air, Samantha and Dr. Davia, when you said yesterday you were feeling it, I felt something, just a wave hit me. And you almost have to stop, pause, like you were saying, and try to regroup. Yeah. And it is a challenge. And I think turning off the news and social media in some cases only for the reason, I think the biggest thing about social media for me now is what you're doing, Dr. Davia, and what the other groups in, you know, National Women's Building, Women's, we've got affiliations in building and construction. I'm a designer, and I've been at home for several months. I'm now designing a showroom that's being renovated where I'll be going to work next month. So it's hearty and juicy and something for me to look forward to. But I think as we were all discussing, everything that we're hearing, the murder hornets, I mean, the jokes are funny. They're pretty good because you figure what's next, you know?
Yeah.
But it does hit. And when you posted on Facebook the burnout and the things that you're feeling as people who are good thinking people, this group right here, it just made me feel as though I wasn't losing my mind. You know,
you're not losing your mind. You're not alone. Not alone at all. I mean, I was talking to one patient the other day and she was truly stressed out and she was having, you know, all this neck and back pain. And I sat down and I said to her, well, what's going on for you? You know, are you stressed? She said, no, I'm not stressed. But I'm working from home. Never worked from home before. So her chair is not ergonomic. She's actually sitting on her sofa or sitting on her bed. So obviously, you know, she's going to have pain. And she's homeschooling. She's worrying about pivoting her business. At the time, she was applying for grants. She was trying to learn the new technologies that she'd have to use, having trouble getting on Zoom, getting on Microsoft 360 for different meetings, things she didn't have to do before. Plus, she has older family members, including her parents, who she's worried about because, you know, at the time they were considered to be the highest risk. She's complaining about Zoom fatigue. So for a person who's saying she's not at all stressed, to me, that sounds like a lot. And I mean, can anybody here relate to that? Like, does it sound like you? Does it sound like...
I was going to say, too, like, just the strength of women. Like, she came in and said, no, I'm not stressed. But she has all this stuff that she's trying to navigate.
Yes.
But no,
and I think as women, we are socialized to just take the brunt of everything and take care of everybody, and to perhaps not pay as much attention to our own personal self-care. But what I've noticed, and I want you to really embrace this and just take a moment to think about this. In my personal experience, the times in my life when I've had the greatest challenges, those are the times that have produced the greatest transformations for me, that have caused the greatest personal growth, and probably even the greatest growth in terms of my life and abundance. So I am inviting you to give some consideration to the fact that maybe, even though we're going through all of this stuff right now, that there might be an opportunity for us to learn and grow from it, and to even come out at the end of it. I'm going to use the word richer, and I'm not just talking about finances, but I'm talking about richer as a person. And I'm going to tell you a story so that you'll understand that I'm not just talking out of the back of my head about this, but I really, really, truly believe this. If you'd met me about 10 years ago, I promise you, you'd have met a totally different person on so many levels. Because for one thing, I was in excruciating pain. And I know I'm a doctor who treats patients with pain, so the irony of this is not lost on me at all, right? But I was treating the patients with a headache and a neck pain and the back pain in my office, guys, on crutches.
Oh my God.
With a big smile on my face. So, you know, Sammy, how you say she's coming in and she's saying that everything's okay.
Everything's okay.
When she's really super stressed, that was me. Big smile on my face. And I did it for a while. One of my coaches that I truly, truly love, really great mentor, she says that I am a victim of a toxic sense of self-sufficiency. And it's something that our society embraces, right? You have to do it all. You have to do it all by yourself. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Those are some of the things that are applauded in our society. And I saw 6 different doctors. I had an unnecessary surgery, and still I was in my office treating patients on crutches. And one day, one of my patients said to me, "Doc, you need to go take care of yourself." And from the first time in the history of the world, and Sammy knows me because we're very similar in a lot of regards. I am, you know, the daughter of immigrants. So hard work is a thing that's drilled into you from the moment you take your first breath. And my office would always be open 6 days a week. I was like the post office. You could set your clock by my office. Rain, shine, snow, sleet, I am there. Even if no staff is there, I am there because we said we were going to be open. Guess what? We're open. And for the first time in the history of the world, I closed my office and went to the doctor.
What?
That's amazing.
You mean you took care of yourself?
To go take care of myself, right? And the truth is, things were bad, guys. When I say excruciating pain, there are no words for me to really explain this to you. But I know if you've ever had pain, you know that it's not something that's really easy to explain.
What was your pain? Was your pain physical as well?
It was physical. It was completely physical. So it was pretty bad and it looked pretty bleak, but I feel like it was a wake-up call for me. And I was talking to the ladies earlier before all y'all joined the call, and I was saying that I think that I needed to go through this because I needed to learn this lesson. It was something that I really, really needed to learn. And all of this whole me getting sick situation started when it seemed like I was getting everything I ever wanted in my life. Because I'm just going to share this with you guys. You know, as women, you'll understand this. I'd suffered from infertility for many, many years, and then I had a baby, and I was so excited. I mean, it was like I got the biggest present that I could ever get. And then I had been working I had 2 jobs, you know, daughter of an immigrant, right? I was working in a practice in Bridgeport, and I was also working at a practice in Marlborough, and I live in Cheshire. So imagine that commute. And I got a new job, and it was 20 minutes from my home. So new baby, new job. And I tell everybody this story about how
That's
I
a
was,
story.
it,
That's a nice story. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a great
yeah,
story.
it was great. But I tell everybody about how I had this amazing miracle baby, right? And this little baby, he's now 10. He didn't sleep through the night, not even one time. Not even one time, guys, for the first 18 months of his life. So this was my life. I would get up in the morning, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, get my baby ready, drop him off at grandma, go to the office, see patients, smile.
And meanwhile, you're not sleeping at
all. And I'm in a new practice, so I have to try to prove myself a little bit, right? In retrospect, my body wasn't functioning. I was up every 2 hours in a night because I was also nursing, I was pumping, I was doing all the good mom things. And I'm saying to myself, why aren't you losing the baby weight? Like, you're nursing like gangbusters. Why aren't you losing the baby weight? And I couldn't lose a pound if I cut it off with a knife. Like, it was not happening. So obviously I started doing the obvious thing. I started limiting calories, and I started training for the Hartford Marathon. That's exactly the right thing to do, right?
Oh my goodness.
Right? I tell you, as a woman, we are crazy, and I don't recommend that to anybody. So it's not surprising to me that I started showing up with weird symptoms that none of my doctors could figure out. It just makes perfect sense. So I worked in a teaching hospital before, and I know it's not a good sign when your doctor calls in the residents and the students.
There's something to learn here.
It's just not. So I get to doctor number 7 on that fateful day that I closed my office, and she just sat me down, and she's become a friend, and she said to me, "You know what's wrong with you." And she gave me my diagnosis of an autoimmune condition. I had used the things in my life to stress myself out to the point where my immune system was just not functioning anymore, and my body was actually attacking itself.
Yep.
So I knew this, but I was kind of there are 2 diagnoses that people dread getting. One is cancer, and the second one that people dread is getting that autoimmune diagnosis. And part of the reason for that is that you usually feel like there's nothing that you can do about it. It gives you that feeling of helplessness because there aren't very many great treatments out there for that. But
I'm a type 1 diabetic, I was telling you.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. But out of that, getting that diagnosis was born like a whole different way of living my life, because I had to change. I could not keep going along that same trajectory, or else you wouldn't be talking to me today. This would not be a conversation that we would be having. So a couple of things that stood out for me. I know you're going to say it, guys. Yes, my baby needed sleep training. I get it. I know. And I'm also aware that it was not the ideal time to train for a marathon. I give you that. But the number one thing that was so important for me to recognize is that I'd gotten into that habit of doing everything myself all the time, of being an overworker, of being a workaholic. It had actually become a part of my identity. And in order for me to truly heal, I needed to let go of that. And it's still something I work on every single day. Some people say to me, how come you do so many things? When it was before COVID times, they'd go to networking event after networking event, and they'd be like, didn't I just see you there? You're everywhere, you're doing everything. Still have to kind of keep myself in check. But what I've learned is that having the power of a strong, supportive community is essential. And there's another thing that I had to learn, and I'm not trying to put my beliefs out there on anybody, but I'm just sharing with you that this was important for me. I had to learn that I'm not alone, that I'm always supported by source, whatever you want to call it. But I had to learn these 5 steps to get from any challenging situation back to living the most brilliant, perfect life that I possibly could. And so if you will let me, I'm going to share with you the 5 steps to going from burnout to brilliance. And we can have some discussion around it, certainly. But what I want to do is I want to share my screen. So here we go. So that you can see the pictures. So.
Oh, I see.
So pretty.
Oh, y'all can see that? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how I did it, guys. Going from burnout to brilliance, really practicing true self-care is what got me to the point where I can truly say that I went through burnout, but I'm at the other side of that right now. And the step 1 for me was really focusing in on what are the pictures that I'm looking at? What is it that I'm feeding my mind? And I think, Laura, you were the one who was talking a little bit earlier about, you know, just like how you're not really as focused on social media anymore because it's really showing you pictures of things that you don't want to see, things that are not that uplifting for you. But the other piece of that is not just not feeding your mind with negativity, but there's another piece of that to consider too. What I had to learn was that I don't need to have the things that I'm looking at, the pictures of my life, be perfect in order for me to actually feel inner peace or inner joy. Can anybody relate to that? Is that making sense for you?
It makes perfect sense. I'm a workaholic in recovery, so I can totally relate.
Because the thing is, we tend to do it a little bit backwards. We tend to look at the things that are going on and then feel how we feel as a result of what we're seeing. Mm-hmm. But that's really the backwards way of doing things. That's like going in through the back door and climbing through the bushes and crawling over the fence and all of that instead of just walking right in the front door with a key. If you can first attend to how you feel on the inside, then one of my very, very dear mentors, Dr. Chopra, says, you could be in the middle of a hurricane and it would not touch you because you are so stable in your personal peace and your personal joy. And it doesn't mean, I want you to really, really understand what I'm saying here. And if you're having any difficulty with this concept, let's talk it through, because this is the most important piece, I think. It doesn't mean that you're going to put a happy face sticker on a bad situation, right? It's not like we're saying, oh, murder hornets are not real, ha, 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 ha. That's not what we're saying at all. What we're saying is that, you know what? I'm going to go within and I'm going to find my joy and peace within. And so when I look at the news and I see all the things that are happening, it's not going to trigger me in the same way that it would if I didn't have that place of grounding. Does that make sense for everybody?
Yeah, because I think we're all going through this trauma, and it's like how to deal with trauma, basically, is what you're talking about.
So that takes me, you know, to the second piece, which
you're not sharing your screen anymore.
I know, because here's the thing. When I'm gonna go back and forth.
Okay.
Because I like seeing you guys and interacting. So when I have the screen up, I can't see you guys the way I want to.
Okay.
So there's that. So I'm gonna go to sharing my screen again, and I'm gonna show you the second one, and that's practice, right? So you guys can see that. So this is me before and this is me after. Notice how wonderful I look and calm and zen over here versus this tearing out her hair woman over here. Really, really different picture. But its second piece is the practice. And you know how they say the practice makes perfect? It's no joke, guys. It's a serious thing. Feeling good is like a muscle. And when you're I'll give you the example again of me post baby, right? So my other baby, he's 5 years old. And if you had asked me to do a sit-up maybe a year ago.
Sit-up? What's a sit-up?
So, yeah, I know, right? Like a crunch. I couldn't do it. And now I can hold a plank for 2 minutes, right?
That's right.
Oh, so wow. Yeah, I'm just showing off here. That's really the only reason I mentioned that.
Yeah.
But it's this feeling good thing. It's a muscle and we have to build it with use. Unfortunately, the world constantly is feeding us with images of negative things. And so we're taking in all of that negativity all the time. And we're in that default setting of negative emotion. So we have to counteract that. And I'm going to tell you something else, guys. Little bit behind the curtain about what's going on in your brain. So we were built to make sure that if something bad is happening, that we catalog it so that the next time it shows up, we know what it is and we can either fight it or avoid it. So our brains are actually programmed for most of us, because we're not all exactly the same. For most of us, our brains are actually programmed to zero in on the negative stuff. So doesn't that tell you something about what we have to do?
We're supposed to be fixing that, right?
Like we have to balance that on the other side with some positive things, and we have to balance it with more positive things than the negative things that are coming in. So I'm going to give you an example of how to practice this positivity, right? And I invite you to do this little exercise with me, and it'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So if it feels comfortable for you, I invite you to just close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and exhale. One more deep breath in, and exhale. And I want you to imagine that you're getting up from your chair where you're sitting and you're walking to the door of your room that you're sitting in. And just imagine that you open that door. And when you open the door, you're walking into the most beautiful environment that you've ever really imagined. It could be a beach, it could be in the mountains, it could be by the lake. Whatever's beautiful for you, whatever's peaceful for you, whatever brings you joy, just imagine that you're walking through your door into that portal of beauty and relaxation. And there's a bench there for you. And you're just going to sit there and take a deep breath in and exhale. And then imagine that there's this beautiful red swirling light coming up from the ground, and it's surrounding you, and it's taking away and dissolving away everything that doesn't serve you, all the stress, all the negative emotions, all the things that you have to do, all the deadlines, all the murder hornets, everything is just dissolved away. And then that beautiful bright red light just goes right back into the earth, taking with it everything that doesn't serve you. And then you look up to the sky and you notice a beautiful bright white light enveloping you and covering you with love and peace and joy. And that light becomes like a skin, like an armor surrounding every piece of your body and filling you with joy and love and peace and hope. And you just imagine getting up from your bench and taking another few steps in this beautiful environment while you're enclosed and encased in this loving embrace. And you see the person that you love the most in the whole world walking towards you with a big smile on their face, and they embrace you And just take a deep breath in and take in that moment. And now exhale. And then say goodbye to your love. And walk right back through your portal into your room. Imagine yourself sitting right back into your chair, back at your computer, joining us back here in our meeting. And when it feels right for you, I invite you to just open your eyes. And we're back together. How was that, guys?
I almost cried.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yep. Yep.
It's good to practice that every day, just the way you were explaining. It was helpful to give a focus, give a, you know.
The red swirl, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So, yes, Laura, absolutely. Absolutely. The thing that is important for you to recognize is that, one, you were still sitting here at your computer, guys. You weren't in a beautiful, okay, maybe your house is beautiful, but you weren't in a beautiful, you know, environment of nature. That was not happening. It was all in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Two, the love of your life. In my beautiful vision, it was my 5-year-old baby, and he came and gave me a big old hug. He wasn't here in the room with me, but didn't you feel it though, guys? Didn't you feel the energy of that? Didn't you feel the love and just the positive emotion of it? So doesn't that tell us something? Doesn't that tell us that we can practice this stuff? We don't have to have the environment or the situation look great for us to feel that good feeling, but we have to practice it, because we've practiced for so long the opposite of it. So now it's time for us to really teach our brains something new, something different. Does that make sense for you? Yep. Cool, cool, cool. The third piece is the process. And that really, for me, comes right up on the heels of the practice. And I'm going to share my screen again so you can see my little girl, how she went from burnout to brilliance. It's the process. And for me, the process, what that means is you have to have certain rituals that you do every single day that get you into that positive mindset. So I'm not telling you what to do, guys. That's never my job. I can only tell you what I do, and you get to choose what works for you. For me, if I don't do something in the morning, I cannot guarantee that there's going to be any time for it in the rest of the day.
I understand that completely.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old, all right? And I have a full practice of patience. I don't have the control over my day that I might want to have. And so for me, mornings are really precious. And I wake up a little bit earlier than everybody in my household. And I go and I do my processes, and I start with gratitude. That's like my number one thing, just being grateful. I move into doing some yoga and meditation. I do some journaling, because that really...
I have a gratitude journal I started this year, and it's powerful.
It's
powerful.
Amazing. It's powerful. And then I get into listening or reading something affirmational, something positive. And then I get into my day. And I cannot tell you guys that this is changing the things that are happening to me during my day. But what I can tell you is by practicing these processes that I find that it smooths my day out just a little bit. Like I was telling the ladies before you guys joined, yesterday somebody hijacked my website. Now, I don't know anything about technology, and so my default would be to go to being stressed about it. And then I thought, okay, I need to practice what I'm preaching here, right? And so do I want the pictures on the outside to dictate how I'm feeling on the inside? Or do I want to have the pictures on my inside dictate how my outside goes? And so I drew for my inner peace. And I'm telling you, I'm not convinced that that wasn't the reason why, one, I got a person to speak to on the phone, not a recording. Two, the person was amazing. Three, they fixed the problem. And four, I can now tell everybody that if you ever need to host a website, go to HostGator, because if you have a problem, they're going to take care of it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it was just the way that I approached the situation that made all the difference. The fourth piece of going from burnout to brilliance is that personal care. And we're all talking about self-care. That's become a buzzword nowadays. But I want you to realize that self-care is not just going for a massage or getting a manicure or something like that. But it's also, guys, it's also what you put in your body. It's also, in my case, getting enough sleep, right? It's all the things like your hydration, taking your brain breaks, avoiding negative people, places, and things, and if necessary, seeking professional help. And then the last piece, number 5 on my list, is try to develop an outstanding community. The fact that you guys have come together with the library is so amazing to me, because it shows that when we get together, 1 + 1 is greater than 2. It's that collaborative factor that gets drilled into that makes everything so much better and so much easier. So
it's just so important, because the library has been closed and is still closed to the public, so people haven't been able to have that community center. And so we've been reaching out and trying to get people like you to do things like this, to bring people together virtually, and it's been great.
Yeah, and I want to say something to you guys, because I know a lot of you are, running your businesses and doing the things out there. Understand this: success is so much more likely when you can ask the audience or phone a friend. So in this time when we're mandating social distancing, let's also look for opportunities for us to get heart and soul connected, because together we can do so much more than alone. So back to me and my story. I'm here 10 years later. I'm completely pain-free, like 0 pain, guys.
That's amazing.
Nothing.
Congratulations.
And even though I received an autoimmune diagnosis, it wasn't my destiny. I have no symptoms. If I was talking to you in person, doing this talk, this is the point where I would do a little dance on the stage and show you my pretty shoes and show you that I have no pain. I'm not on crutches. I'm not that woman anymore. So I don't know. A lot of times when you go to some of these talks and you listen to people who find themselves to be gurus, they'll tell you, okay, this is what I did, so you have to do it this week, and that's how it's going to work. But I've been in healthcare for 20 years. And for those of you who've ever had anything go wrong with your health, you know that healthcare is not one size fits all. And so I also believe that going from burnout to brilliance is not one size fits all. And what works for me might not be necessarily what would work for you. I feel like the 5 principles are still the foundation, but how you execute them is going to be what's going to be different for you. So I'm going to go to the next slide, and I'm going to just say, give consideration to what I said before within these parameters. I like to talk to patients about the 3 power pace types. I like to explain that we're all different. And so even though we're still using that 5-step formula, if you use them in accordance with the way that you're built, you're going to get so much more out of it. So I've discovered, and there's a whole questionnaire and quiz that I do with patients, and we figure out what their power pace type is. But even just from going through this, you probably can figure out what your power pace type is. I've discovered that I'm a queen bee. Yep, you could probably tell just by looking at me. That's who I am. Can't help it. The thing about me and about a queen bee is that she can lay like millions of eggs, and she's working hard and she's doing all the things. But at the end of that, she's going to need a tremendous amount of rest. And she's also going to need some personal space and some personal time. Nobody up in her face, because she just needs to do what she needs to do. She can outperform pretty much anybody. And that's why everybody asks me, how do you do all these things? And how are you doing all of this? But if she's doing too much and not making that time for the rest and for the space, she's gonna burn out. Because society kind of applauds overworking, I recommend that if you feel like you're a queen bee, then you need to let go of what society has to say. Candida, I think you're a queen bee. You look just like me.
I am.
You need to let go of what society has to say and just rest without guilt. Take your rest time when you need it. It's important.
Yeah, I learned the hard way too.
Yeah.
So I'm in recovery. I'm doing much better. When that guilt starts to sink in, I'm like,
the guilt
I have
comes,
to shut it down.
and that's why I say I'm a work in progress every single day. I'm not going to tell you that I'm cured of overworking, but I'm going to tell you that I'm paying better attention now, and I am completely symptom free. So that's important to notice. The power marathoner, she's an energizer bunny. I have a feeling this is Sammy. I'm just guessing here.
That's what I said.
She really only needs short periods of rest. But what's important for her is making sure that what she's working on is in alignment with her values. And if she's doing something that's in alignment with her values and something that she truly loves, she could work from morning to evening. So the only thing we need to remind Sammy about is, Sammy, remember to stop and smell the roses. I'm so glad you took a day off the other day. I was really excited about that.
Well, that's what I just said in the chat. I agree with this, all except the only need short periods of rest. So I cut it off at like 4 or 5 o'clock.
Because you have boundaries, and that's important.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I took more than a day. I took from Thursday to Wednesday off.
Yeah, okay. For the first time in the history of the world.
First time in the history of the world.
And she still showed up for a program we needed her to show up
and
for.
And it was really good, too.
Yeah.
The thing about you is that you can do a lot. You're built for it. But just make sure the things that you're doing are the things you truly believe in, the things that you really love, and you won't even feel like you're working a day in your life because it's just all enjoyable stuff.
I want to hear about the power magician because I feel like I may be a mix between the two.
You might be.
That's how I feel. I feel I might be.
You might be
magician-y.
So my 10-year-old, he falls into this category. This kind of person is super creative. Like they have ideas for days, constantly coming up with new ideas, and they move so fast that their biggest stress in life is waiting for everybody else to catch up with
That's
them.
Me. That's me.
They get frustrated with everybody else.
I just had I'm having a conversation now on text, and I'm just like, I can't explain this stuff to you. I'm already 12 steps ahead. I need you because I'm moving forward. Let's go.
Very true.
Yep. Well, the problem with this kind of power energy type is that, well, there is a problem if you're not living according to your strategy, right? Because you're moving so fast, you will burn out before you realize it. That's the little rub in there. And so routine is most important for somebody like that. Somebody like that needs to have it just built into their schedule.
Can I say her schedule is absolutely nuts? She showed me her calendar one day. Yeah. It's every 15 minutes is like something else. I've never seen a calendar like that before.
Everything is scheduled, and you're so right. It is about routine. I have a morning routine. I have a lunch routine. I have an evening routine. My son does routine because if it's not on routine, it's going to throw, I'm doing too much. If it's not on routine, it's going to throw everything off, and then I'm just not going to be able to do it.
So what you need to remember is to put you on the schedule. That's really who needs to get involved right now, is just make sure that you're making time for you. Because if you don't, you're going to burn out really, really fast. It's like a supernova. You're really shining really bright. But when it goes,
what I've realized with this whole power magician persona thing is that because I get frustrated with other people because I'm moving so fast, I don't have time to communicate to them what they're doing wrong or should be fixed because I have to keep on moving. So it's like by the time I have to have a conversation with them about something, it's already escalated in my head because it's happened time and time and time again, but I have to keep on moving forward. So I expect you to understand what you're doing wrong and fix it. so that everything else can work accordingly.
Also, they might be a mama bee or a marathoner because they're not a magician. So like they might have a different power type than you, and then that probably causes frustration.
But here's the thing.
Funny.
You will get so much more out of the other people if you just inform them first. So you don't have to necessarily wait for them to catch up, but send them a text. Just send them a text. We're doing this thing, and leave it there, and you just keep moving, because you can't wait for them. You've got stuff to do, but just keep informing them about what's going on, because people will also get frustrated with you that you went ahead and did all this stuff and you didn't tell them, and now problems. So that's another piece that we can talk about another day if you guys want to, about how the different types fit together and how we can each accommodate each other in a more mindful way where everybody...
We'd love to have you back for this. That would be a great session. Yeah, that would be really cool to get into that.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I have a new friend. We met on Facebook. And she's into this whole how the different types work together. Like, you know, some of you probably have heard of Myers-Briggs and DISC and all of these things. It's a similar kind of thing, and how the types fit together. And she and I were constantly texting each other back and forth, like, oh, I noticed this with this person. Oh, I noticed that with that person. And they must be this kind of power type. And it's just pretty interesting. So yeah, I'm happy to come back and talk to you guys about it. But yeah, that's pretty much, you know, what I wanted to share with you guys. Just be mindful of your pictures, be mindful of your practice, make sure you're doing your processes, take care of your personal care, and watch the people that you have around you, and then pay attention to your power type. And if you're doing those things, I feel like you won't have to learn the hard way, the way I learned. You can actually learn from other people's pain and actually have the success in your life that you want, and also have the brilliance instead of the burnout. That's my story, guys. Sticking to it. Thanks so much.
You know, I think your point about the people around you is so important. If you don't have those people around you speaking at that level that you're at or want to be at, you're not going to get there. And then if you have those people who, we all have them, they talk to you and they just drain the living life out of you.
Yep. In what we do, we call them energy vampires.
Energy vampires.
I call them scavengers.
I left some help, sorry.
Yes, and it's so important to limit it. I have close family members that get on the phone, even on text. I can feel the energy depleting, and I'm like, I can't have this
Love
conversation
them from a distance.
Yes.
So sometimes they can be very close family members.
Oh yeah, love
me.
them from a distance.
Yes. But I found that the support and community is so important. And me and Davia know this. Davia has her Ladies Power Lunch, which is a community of like-minded women. I have my collaboration of minority women professionals. And me and Davia are in both groups. We're in each other's groups.
Oh, that's great.
So it's so important to have that constant sense of community around you that's going to empower you, that can speak your language. Because sometimes you realize people just, they don't speak the same language as you.
That's the key.
Yeah, and you have to understand when they're not, because you have to change the conversation and find the conversation amongst those people. Sometimes you have to look for those conversations, because if you don't have that community around you, don't have those people, it's gonna pull you down.
And also, it's about spending. Sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. I think it's a process, because for me through life, I've been blessed to have, I call it my inner circle. Everybody's everywhere else, but it was a process. It didn't happen overnight. And so you have to build these relationships. And like you all said, the vampires, I call them scavengers. You have to like win people off. Like literally, you have to. And I had to learn how to do it in a healthy manner. So that was a process for me in itself. So, you know, it's just a process.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing with not the scavengers, that's a great word for that too. But for friendships, like you realize as you get older that you have less time to give to friendships, so you have to select that time to give to special people that are going to serve you and be like common with you, and not give your energy to those vampires because you feel guilty or you feel like you need to.
I once had a best friend who towards the end of our friendship told me that she felt it hard to be my friend because she needs to talk to her friends every single day. And if she's not talking to me every single day, then she feels like I'm keeping stuff from her and I'm not being a good friend. And anybody who knows Sammy knows I ain't got no time to talk to you every single day. And this is way before my business.
They're not on the schedule, Sammy. They're
not on the schedule.
That's too much.
It's too much.
That's too much. I can't.
Too much.
I don't even think I spoke to my husband yesterday. Like, and you want me to talk to
you? Exhausting.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
But you don't, sometimes it's funny because it's such a gray area at that point where you realize what's draining you. And then you figure you need to look at examine everybody in your life.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
You have to do
I say start within, start with you, start within, do your processes, take care of you, take care of your own energy, and you will get to a point, and this is a promise, and I do not make promises lightly, you will get to a point where the others, the ones that would be the energy vampires, the ones that would be the scavengers, as Candida says, they will fall away and you will have to do nothing to make it happen. This is a promise. If you get to that stage where your insides are so balanced, they don't want to be around you anymore. You're not their type anymore.
Wow. The energy has shifted.
See, Davia says things a lot more nicer than I do. I say the trash takes themselves out. I mean,
well, you have to decide like how much people are draining you. Yeah, Laura's right. You have to sort of recognize it first, and then Yep.
Because there are a lot of people who are people pleasers too. So it's hard for some people to understand when people are draining them because they feel like they have to do certain things.
That's a learning process in itself.
Make themselves available. And so just getting to that point of, oh, wait, why are you bothering me? Like, I can't focus time and energy on this. I have to move on. Or as Davia says it nicely, right? So.
But that's funny, Sam, because I had to learn at a young age, teenage years, when you have to tell people no, especially family members. I'm not a people pleaser. Yes, the boundaries. I'm not a people
word pleaser. For me to work on.
Yeah, and it was one of the things where my mom, I think she was to a certain extent. She didn't like, I would say, confrontation, as she put it. Mm-hmm. For me, I would literally walk through the fire, not care. And I had to learn how to deliver the message nicely and say no. And because I was very firm, if I said no, no, yes, yes. But my delivery was very, I guess, aggressive. And for me, I had to do that to protect myself because it's one of the things where no is no, and this is what it is, and you need to get that. So I had to learn how to be, I guess, more calmer delivering it and letting them know, like, hey, Candy's not doing this today, and this is how it's going to be, and it's okay, and you're going to have to get used to it. And it's worse when you're the younger one. And you have to make that stance. So it took years for family members to learn this. And when they realized, okay, this is who she has become, they had to accept it.
Yeah, and it changes your relationship. Like I just had this conversation with my sister, and I'm very much a people pleaser when it comes to my parents. And I have to learn sort of how to step back and not try to impress them and not try to please them and just try to please myself. And it's definitely taken me a while, and I'm working on it. So
and it's okay for it to be a work in progress. There is nothing that says that all of this has to happen today.
I love the P thing. It's going to make me remember it. Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's nice. This is all validating. I think this has a lot to do with what you were saying about women coming together, people coming together from time to time, taking the time to get the viewpoints and do the brainstorming that we're sort of doing here. Because hearing your viewpoints is valuable to me. You, you know, you all have the same. You like to relate to people, you like to take care of people, and you know, at the expense of yourself sometimes. You get too involved, you lose track of the focus. And I think this is a really great session that you've offered here. So I for one am very grateful for that. And you people right here, it's so nice to meet some new faces. And
yes, we're glad you're here. And I think it's about that the mindset too of it. So a lot of the thinking and getting to this point is developing and working on your mindset to get to the right space. So me and Davia have a lot of people in common. So you talked about positivity and how you have to have that, you have to be grounded in positivity. And we had Dee come on, and Dee did her
Positivity was her thing.
Yes. And that's what I like to do. I want to open up this space to the women I know, the people I know who have some encouraging words, some wisdom you can give to our community and share and expand it, because that's what we all need.
Yeah, that's lacking. Definitely.
Absolutely. And I do invite you all to, if you would like to, hop on over to our Ladies Power Lunch group. I mean, we only have one rule in the group. One rule, and it's that we support each other. I don't feel like we need to have a whole bunch of rules, because I feel like that one kind of encompasses everything. And all women are invited. It's a completely free group. Have no idea why I do it, except that it brings me joy to see women get together and support each other. So
yeah.
That's important.
So I'm going to use that as a plug because I'm also the president of the Collaboration of Minority Women Professionals. Candida is a member. Davia is a member. I'm the president. But Davia, through her Ladies Power Lunch group, is sponsoring a membership to the collaboration. So all women, it's the Collaboration Minority Women Professionals, but all women are invited. We have minority, non-minority women in our membership. And if you're interested, join my membership, join my collaboration, and join Davia's Ladies Power Lunch, and you can win a free membership.
So can you guys write in the chat how to join so that people watching this later can see?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm going to pull up my links now.
All right,
yeah,
I'm gonna just put the
pulling up our links, girls.
Yep.
Yeah,
right.
So you can join Ladies Power Lunch there.
Perfect.
That link should work.
See, and like Laura said, that's what's like good about social media, is that like you're finding these groups on Facebook, like you're finding these things. So
yeah, and it's so helpful to, like, you know, I'm a writer, right, by trade. So it's so important to use the keywords to be found, especially like for my collaboration. I want people to find us. I want to build our membership. And what I found is when we put our events on Eventbrite, like our Zooms and all that, we get new attendees to our webinars because they search for minority events on Eventbrite, and they search for Black women events on Eventbrite. So put out what you want to get back. So I'm making sure that I'm using the right keywords to attract the people I want for our collaboration.
And there are so many groups, like business groups in New Haven, like minority business groups in New Haven. There's so many like Facebook groups that we try to plug these virtual programs on too, because people go on Facebook and they look at the groups and they try and join things that they think like-minded people will be at. So,
and that's one positive thing that came out of this whole COVID crisis, is that a lot of this is now virtual. So you don't have to be in the same area. Our collaboration started in New Haven and Hamden, Connecticut, and now we're in 8 states. Within a week, we grew to 8 states and over 30, almost 40 members. So,
and if it's at the library, you don't have to worry about parking, because that is our nightmare of trying to get people to come to things because they cannot park anywhere.
You don't have to worry about that. There's no parking.
Exactly. Yep.
I like the idea of putting stuff on Eventbrite, and I think I don't have bandwidth to put every single event on our calendar on Eventbrite, because guys, this is our Ladies Power Lunch.
But my calendar was crazy.
Calendar.
She's a doctor running
Similar
a practice.
calendar, yeah.
And that's in addition to seeing all my patients every day, right?
Wow.
So I'm gonna hop off this call, and I'm gonna hop onto a call with Ladies Power Lunch, because we're gonna be over there talking about how to get ready for doing in-person events in the future. We know we're not there yet, but we have to start thinking about what that's going to look like for us when we actually get back out there, and all the things that we need to be putting into place now to make sure that
everyone's looking at that for their own businesses.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to be talking about at 11:30, and that's another thing on my calendar. So
well, I'll give you the time. We can end, so you have time in between.
Yes, but no, I'm not saying this to tell you guys that I'm going to go, even though I do have to go in 4 minutes. But I'm just saying this to say that I am very, very scheduled. But I also have spaciousness in my day where there is time built in for me. And it's the same thing that I really do recommend for you, Sammy. Schedule yourself in to that day as well.
I take a walk every day with my dogs and my one other friend who's quarantining by herself, because with the immuno, I have to quarantine by myself. But I would go crazy if I didn't have that 1 hour walk, 2 hour walk during the day, social,
what I do?
Connection, and also just being outside,
What I do is I put holds. I just black out time on my calendar, because in the space of Zoom, I found myself just sitting on this couch going from Zoom to Zoom to Zoom to Zoom. But if I block it in my calendar to, give me a 30-minute break here, hour break here, I have a hour and a half every day for lunch that I play with my son and all that. So all that, but it has to be on the schedule. So I can't just say I'm going to make time for me and that's what I'm going to do. No. Like Davia says, I have to be on the schedule. Yes. So my hold times is on every single day of the week. I have multiple hold times. Just
that's smart. That's great.
Yeah.
You're doing it the right way. That's how it's to be done. Schedule yourself in. Make yourself a priority. I love that. That's awesome.
All right, so Dr. Davia, can you give us one more screen share of the P before we go?
The power P's.
Yes.
Power P's.
Screen share, and let's go to here. Share. There she is.
There we go. So we want to be brilliant.
Yep. So, look at what you're looking at. Make sure that the people, places, and things that you are feeding your mind with are things that are positive. And also try to go from the inside out. Try to build your inner peace before you even take a look at what's happening out there. Practice it every day, because it's like a muscle and you can practice it. It's really, really easy. Sometimes even just sitting and taking 5 deep breaths can actually help to really bring that cortisol level, bring that energy level to a place where you're in a more peaceful space. This is a doctor
telling us this, so she knows this. She's a doctor.
True story. Practice having some processes during your day. One process I didn't mention, but it's something that I do, is something called segment intending. And for those of us who are very schedule oriented, this is perfect, because before I go into the next thing of my schedule, I just take a deep breath and I set an intention for the next segment. So before I hopped on here with you guys, took a deep breath, and my intention was that, whatever I said, it would hit you guys the right way.
It did.
My next segment that I'm going into, my intention is that it will be understood in the way that it was intended, because I know that talking about going back to in-person events can be a little triggering for some people right now. So my intention with this is for it to just be taken in the way that I intended. going into my patient care sessions for the afternoon, my intention is for the patients to really get the information that I'm sharing with them, and for it to be for their best good as far as their healing is concerned. So that's just another process that I do right through the day. For every single segment of my day, I really try to set an intention. The fourth one, practice your personal care. Just do it. There's no way around it. When I wasn't sleeping, I got sick. And make sure that you really, really do have the right kind of people around you, because having the right people around you, that can make a big difference. And those are my power Ps.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you so much for coming. This has been fantastic. Yes. And I cannot wait to put it up and have other people be able to see it. And if anyone has any last minute questions, go ahead.
This was great. This really was great.
You. So Dr. Davia, you have to come back. We'll get you on the schedule. We're going to dig a little deeper, talk about how the different personas interact with each other.
Yes. Oh, you're going to love that, because it's gold. It's really, really gold. Like I was telling you, I was talking to a friend of mine who also does this kind of work, and she was actually giving me some insight about how I work together with my children. So it was, because I have one child who's a little bit more like me in that queen bee kind of space, and then I have one who's like Sammy, who's like go, 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 and how I can be better with them. So it was beautiful.
Is that Janet?
No, actually, her name is Andrea.
Okay.
And she's actually in our Facebook group too. So
okay, so I'll look for her.
Yeah, I'll tag you there. All right, guys, I'm gonna run because I'm gonna go do my my call.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Will be on the library's YouTube and Facebook pages, so be sure to check it out. I thought we shut off. It will be on the YouTube and Facebook pages. Dr. Davia has to go; she got things to do. But thank you, ladies, for joining us, and we'll see you at some future events.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Have a nice day, everyone.
It was nice meeting everyone.
You too. Bye.